Hey, buds. Welcome to the Fantasy Buds podcast. It's your host, Brian Gold.
Mark Letrio.
And I'm Tim Stewart.
And if you want to follow us on social media, you can go to the link tree in the description below and follow us on Threads, TikTok, and Instagram. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the show.
Look at this. This is just an impressive win. 2 donuts, 2 tight ends, 3 running backs.
That's fucking
They don't ask
horrible.
Cal, they ask how many.
It's funny. If you started Dak, you would have blew him out. Like, you would have just blew him the fuck
All
out.
I gotta do is run the table and hope that 3 people's teams in our league just die.
All you can do is just keep winning.
Oh, I
that's
lose
all
one
you
more
can
game and it's
control.
over. Like it's
I don't even want to be around.
Team name is just black.
Gone.
The team is
and
gone.
the abbreviation's dead.
I just see like 12 spot black.
Black.
Dead.
Just it's black when you die.
Fucking 800 points scored at 1,000. 1,100 against. That's just a bad
Poor
year.
Tim is having a rough year in the TJ League.
At this point, my goal is to not make playoffs. It's to make sure certain people miss.
Oh, you got me next week, so I'm gonna be fucking. The skid is going on now. Like I'm.
Brian's team is spiraling downwards right now.
I
He's
just
in a
don't even
downward
know
spiral.
what to fucking do in these. Like this has just been a bad month for me.
I just think
Across
it's
all of them.
I think it's just a bad year in general.
I mean,
Like, you
who
know
the
it's-
fuck is scoring anymore?
You know it's bad when there's fantasy accounts like ESPN themselves posting and saying like for the first time ever there's no undefeated teams by week blah blah blah.
Yeah, and then I like the list of players that are on winless teams, and it's like Cooper Kupp,
T.
Nick
Higgins.
Chubb,
Yeah, like
T. Higgins.
I mean, to be fair, though, we did say we did not like T. Higgins as a second rounder.
Because he's getting drafted, or he was getting drafted as like a number 1, and
Yeah.
he just wasn't that at all.
It's not that he's not good, it's that his ADP was just way too high.
Can we also? Oh no, go ahead. Is that what you're going to say?
No, I was
first,
just gonna say,
Brian?
do you really want a number 2 receiver to be your number 1 in fantasy? Like it doesn't.
I mean to be fair, it worked for me last year.
Yeah, like
But I also
They
did
have
get
to
lucky.
produce,
He was
though.
averaging like 15. So
But I will say T. Higgins. I don't think he's ever finished higher than 15th.
No,
And
I
it's
don't think he has.
Well, like you're drafting him as like the wide receiver 7.
I think
or 8.
so.
Like he's never finished that high. We have a pretty big sample size at this point, and he's never finished that high before.
He's like one of those wide receivers where if you go double stack. Like if I take a
like, it'd
top notch wide receiver, like if I got Diggs in the first round, all right, I'll take Higgins in the second round if he's the only wide receiver available.
To be honest, Mike made the right move dealing T. Higgins.
100%.
If he didn't, he probably wouldn't be 8-1.
no, he's 8-1 because he's facing the lowest score every fucking week.
He is getting a little lucky too. But
Hey,
you
to be
need
fair
luck.
though, he himself said he was getting lucky and he knows it. So
Yeah, like I hope he gets exposed in the playoffs. I'm not gonna lie. Like at 8-1, he's clinched. He's in.
I mean, yeah, you have 8 wins. You're in.
Like I've never seen. The only time I saw an 8-win team miss the playoffs is when we had only like 4 teams make the playoffs.
Which is ridiculous.
Which I don't know why the fuck we did it. We used to have like it was our 14 team league, and we only had 4 teams make the playoffs. Like, why the fuck? Your season was over by week 5.
pretty much, yeah. Like if you weren't 5-2, your season was done. Basically, like you had to win like 8-9 games.
You were like 3-3, and I'm like,
Yep.
season's
yeah.
over.
I mean,
look, all I'll say is this: after the TJ League last year with Big B going 12-2, I don't think it matters what your regular season record is. Anything can happen in playoffs.
You do have to just make the playoffs.
I don't
Make
think
the playoffs. Anything can happen.
Well, you made the 1 year at 4-9.
Yeah,
And you
I
went to the
won the championship.
No, you went to it.
I thought that was the year I beat Mark.
No,
no, that wasn't.
that was the year I beat you.
Oh,
Remember
okay.
that?
Yep.
You
Yeah.
like squeaked in because I think one team wasn't. I forget who it was. but
Yeah,
they
it was
didn't check
because
all year.
we had Matt Olson in the league,
And he didn't check
just
once.
didn't check all year, and
and we did the.
he made the playoffs with 6 wins, and he just never looked at never set his lineup. I'm like, you know what, fuck this. So we
We're
took
like,
him out of the
"It's
playoffs.
not fair to have him in
yeah.
there." And
So-
then Tim went to the championship.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's the second time Tim has done that.
Yeah, the funny
He
the
did that in
funny
other
thing
league, too.
is, it's so weird. Whenever I'm a top seed, I'm knocked out first round. Every time. The only time I ever go far is if I'm like the LA Kings from like 2012. I'm the last seed, and I'll make a fucking Cinderella run, and that's it.
That's your
Like that's just my
that's
mind.
your thing,
That's it.
man.
That's my
you gotta
thing.
be the underdog.
Yep. Hypocrite. 100%.
I mean, we've been seeing a couple Cinderella runs across all sports recently.
Yeah.
So why not do it in fantasy football as well?
You
And-
just got to get in, but it feels so bad when you're in a slump. In the
Oh,
season.
dude.
Oh, it's brutal.
It feels hopeless. Like, it feels like you're never. I mean, dude, just like having to see your team score like 70, 80, 90 points a week. Like, you're like, you can't help feeling like your team just sucks. And then you feel you have no hope.
It feels fucking horrible for me in our TJ league because I was 5-0 and now I'm going to be 6-3, and those 3 losses I haven't cracked 100.
Yeah.
and it's
And it does when the losses sting a little bit. Like, some losses hurt a little more than others. Like, I'm about to be 5-4 in this league, and I've had some pretty bad losses. I mean, I lost to Big B when he had 0 wins. That was his first win. I lost to Brandon when he was 1-4. I was his second win. And I lost to I gotta look at I lost to fucking Joe Bossi, who's an asshole. Sorry, Joe. And Big B, like, yeah, and like Big B smoked me. And then Mike, when I played him, because my team blew.
Yep.
And it's like, so it's just,
this week.
it's a tough year, man. Like,
I mean, you smacked me because I just didn't even put up a fight.
I got a little lucky, though. At the same time, I feel like I kind of deserve some luck. Because half of my team is hurt. But yet again, so is everybody's team. I feel like everybody has at least 2 injuries this season on their team.
Injuries have just been fucking horrible.
I feel like, and people are saying that they feel like there's more injuries than usual. I don't think so. I just think it's the amount of star players getting hurt is just through the roof this year.
The crazy fucking thing is, I'm looking at the running back rankings. Devon Achane is still the 6th running back, and he hasn't played in 4 weeks.
From 3 good weeks.
Like that just goes to show. Like Zach Moss is the running back 4, Swift is the running back 5. Like
So we all do a bunch of fantasy leagues. I would think so, since we do this show. But I've noticed that I'm in about 6 fantasy leagues,
I'm in 6 also.
and it sucks. And I'm definitely going to leave a few next year. But I've noticed that all the leagues where I'm struggling the most in, I took a running back with my first pick.
Yep.
And all my teams that are doing well, I took a wide receiver with my first pick.
Like, who are the running backs that you've taken?
I took Saquon Barkley in the one who I liked. Honestly, I said I thought he would lead the league in touchdowns and just carries in general. And in the other league, I took Bijan Robinson, who I want to rescind or kind of go back to what we said before. I remember you said, Brian, I think like week 2 or 3 on the show that we were wrong about Bijan and we apologize. We were not wrong about Bijan. I kind of whacked that. Beep.
I fucking hate Arthur Smith.
What the fuck was that?
That was the fucking dog toy.
I was
Dude, like, I'll just hear that randomly when Libby's playing with it. Just, like it's a fucking cat.
That scared the shit out of me.
But yeah, I don't know what the Falcons are waiting for with their offense. Like, they have Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson now, and it's like they don't have the quarterback. Is that the reason? Like, you're waiting for a quarterback and you're preserving these guys?
I think they're tanking.
Like, are they just trying to preserve? Well,
I think it's one of those things as to where that is the only explanation, because if that's not the case, why the fuck did you take Robinson with that high of a pick?
But it doesn't seem like they're tanking though. What are they, 4-5?
They're 4-5 now, but
Like,
they're not blatantly tanking. But you're not going to have a top 5 pick at 4-5 right now.
That's what I'm saying.
I've never seen like actual, like a lot of fantasy accounts, like even like I've been looking at like Sleeper and stuff like that, and just posting some of the things that Arthur Smith, like someone did, like I saw something yesterday. The Falcons recovered a fumble on the Vikings. I think it was like the 5 or 10 yard line. First down, they false started. Okay, whatever. The second down, it was an incomplete, or I'm sorry, the new first down, it was an incomplete pass to Jonnu Smith. The second down play was an end around to Jonnu Smith. The third down play was a handoff to Algier. field
Like,
goal. Yeah,
Why
and
isn't
it's like,
Pitts,
what are-
London, or well?
Like,
And I think
and
London's
I get
hurt,
it.
right?
London was out.
Yeah,
the
London's
last
out,
game.
but-
and London's actually putting up okay numbers still on this team, which is pretty impressive. But
I actually think he's going to do better with Heineke.
You think so?
He might.
Well, I mean, just think about it with Terry McLaurin. Not saying that, and not to cut you off, sorry.
No,
But
it's-
think about it that way. Like, Terry McLaurin was great with Heineke.
He was.
But this is why I was kind of down on that whole team this year.
Yeah, because it's not like Arthur Smith's a fucking genius, and I just don't understand the underutilization. Other than you might be preserving these guys for when you get a quarterback. Maybe they think they're going to bring in a guy like through free agency. Maybe they believe that they can get Kirk Cousins,
Try to trade for Kyler Murray,
or they trade for
I don't
Kyler
know,
Murray,
like,
or
But
something.
it still doesn't matter. The deadline's passed. So it makes no
Well, I mean,
sense.
after
As
the
to,
season,
like
maybe
after
they-
season, maybe in free agency or like when the offseason starts.
yeah, but see, for me, that still doesn't make that much sense because, again, why the fuck did you take Bijan with that high of a pick?
I don't think they
might-
should have.
Well, maybe they wanted just to have that player on the team, and then they're
Could be just to hold it, stack them, save them for later kind of thing.
yeah, and they're preserving these guys. Where it's like next year, it's like you have the RB1, wide receiver 1, tight end 1. You just got to add the quarterback. So maybe
I
they think
mean,
they
I
can-
get what you're saying. Like, see what we got. Okay, we know Bijan is Bijan, so we're just not even gonna.
yeah, it's
Okay.
like
But I mean, dude, like they don't use Kyle Pitts at all.
it's kind of like when the Chiefs, like they had Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
But all they needed was Patrick Mahomes. Like you see a lot of these teams, they stack up on receivers and they just needed the quarterback.
But it's like I get that like Jonnu Smith had an awesome game yesterday, but I mean, why are
Why
we
is he
scheming
being
him
used?
up touches though? Like
And
why
Michael
are,
Pruitt, like what
like
the fuck?
why are we not scheming up Kyle Pitts touches? It's-
Because one of them is gonna get traded.
I mean, like it's I just
Which
don't
one?
I have no idea.
I don't
What?
understand.
Like
And-
Pitts?
One of them will get traded, I think.
They might be trading Johnny Smith and
That's what I'm
I don't
saying.
know,
Give
like-
Jonnu Smith all these touches in the offseason, get his value up.
it makes you wonder, are
and
these
then-
guys fucking just hurt?
like,
And they're
it's
not
like,
saying anything?
And it's like maybe they are just waiting for a quarterback, but I mean, dude, everybody's noticing Arthur Smith's lack of utilization
Yeah.
of his premium draft picks. And sometimes media, we can think that it doesn't have anything to do with the front office decisions, but if a team's fan base is upset, it pressures the front office into making a change.
Yeah.
And we're at the point where Arthur Smith might not even last until the new quarterback.
Well, it's like
And
look at Mike McDaniels. He's utilizing Waddle, Hill,
everybody that they
Raheem
have.
Mostert,
Raheem
everybody that they
Mostert's
have.
having his best year at 31 years old.
They're getting their playmakers the ball. So
in the right situations.
if you want to win games as the Atlanta Falcons, like why aren't you fucking getting these guys the ball?
And it's like Tua is great, but I don't think Tua is as naturally talented as a Josh Allen or a Joe Burrow, and he's outperforming those guys this season. And
Because when you get your playmakers the ball, they make you look a lot fucking
they
better.
make you look a lot better. And, not knocking Tua. I think Tua has a lot to do with it too.
No,
But-
Tua's a great quarterback. He's just in a great system.
But yeah, like I think that they're just all bouncing off each other and making each other great.
It's
and
a perfect storm of speed and talent and
yeah, and
accuracy from Tua.
you know, I mean, like the Falcons, maybe they could have taken Will Levis last year in this draft. Maybe they could have taken maybe they could have traded up for CJ Stroud. Maybe they could have taken Anthony Richardson. Like these are all things that they could have done there. And instead, you spend the 8th pick on a running back when you've already spent the 8th pick on a receiver and the 4th pick on a tight end, and you
Not
have
using
nobody.
any of them.
You have nobody to get the ball, and you're not using any of them. And I just don't know what's going on over there. And I'm kind of off. I'm ready to sell some of these guys on Atlanta.
I've been off Kyle Pitts.
Like if
I mean, Drake London, for me, I feel like he's a buy low.
he might be the only one.
I think he's the only one that if you have, you hold, and if you can get, you buy low.
Because like Bijan, I almost don't even want to buy Bijan anymore. Like I'm like, are
He's
they
like,
even
are they
gonna-
going to lie about him being sick again?
I'm saying like I'm like, are they even going to use
I'm
this
telling
guy?
you, man.
Like
With that trade in our league, everybody said Tiny won.
I thought
I
it
was
was
the
fair.
only one to say Christian won that trade.
No, I
What was
was
the trade? It was
Christian got Jonathan Taylor and a wide receiver for Bijan Robinson and a nobody.
yeah, because Bijan hasn't been living up to his ADP and all the hype he had in this offseason.
some guys got way too much hype
Well, it just
coming
might,
into
I,
this year.
I think the Falcons offense, it's going to be one of those things where in the future, like let's say they trade for a quarterback or they sign somebody or they even draft a young franchise quarterback down the road, like maybe next year. And then it's going to be like, oh, I see what this is their plan the whole time.
I hope that we do see that almost because I don't understand. I can't.
Because if it's not that, this doesn't make any sense.
None of this makes any sense at all. It's the fact where like Arthur Smith just blame, maybe he has some kind of personal vendetta against fantasy football and he doesn't want to use his best play. Like, I don't know. But
or like you think you're fucking so much smarter that you can use your tight end 3 all the, like, come on.
And look, to be honest, Arthur Smith has said multiple times it's not fantasy football. Maybe if he thought it was, he'd be better than 4 and 5 right now. Like if he thought it was, because
the division's wide open.
Yeah, and the Falcons are not a bad roster. They have a talented defense, talented offensive line.
They got playmakers on offense.
Playmakers everywhere, but they have nobody to distribute the ball.
I mean, for me, it's just football 101. You put the ball in the hands of your best players.
I mean,
and
that's
your
what
best players are Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts, and you're not using either of them.
Like, come on, man. Like
it makes no sense.
They're like, well, it's not Madden. It's not fantasy football. I mean, like
that's fine, but like,
how do you think you're going to score points? Getting the ball to Bijan Robinson or Tyler Algier
or Michael Pruitt? Like who
Kyle Pitts or Michael Pruitt?
Like who is going to get that? I don't think it's rocket science. And look, we're not the only ones as just more fans who are a little more on the casual side. Even we can see it. So if we can see it, then everybody else around the NFL can see it.
I just don't get it.
Look at the teams that are winning in the NFL. Like the Eagles, you're getting the ball to AJ Brown. You're getting the ball to DeAndre Swift.
Lions are 5-1. St. Brown's having a fantastic season, and Sam Laporta is having one of the honestly best rookie tight end seasons we've seen ever.
Actually, glad that you brought that up. So I'm going to completely revoke what I said about the Vikings. At like the start of the year.
What, that they're
probably going to win the Super Bowl? That ain't happening.
No, it ain't.
Kirk Cousins needs an ankle. Justin Jefferson.
Well, you can't really predict it. An Achilles injury.
I mean, hey, man.
Or Jefferson also getting hurt.
Talk shit on the Lions and look at the Lions.
Yeah, like I was kind of down on them because I was like, I don't get all the hype. Like, is Jared Goff going to really put them on an extra?
You know what our problem was? We were getting way too excited about the Bears.
I think it was just DJ Moore and Justin Fields that we were excited about.
Well, yeah, but
the rest of the rosters. But
we put a little too much stock in the training camp sometimes, and like that's not just us; it's everybody. Like the amount of fantasy accounts I saw that loved Calvin Ridley this year, and it's like to be honest, and I think that look, we all know if you watch our show, you know that I especially love Ridley, and I argued for him, but I was arguing for him when he was a 5th rounder. By the time we were drafting I would say at the middle of August, I was seeing Ridley go in the late 2nd sometimes.
Yeah, like that's way too high.
Look, I thought Ridley would finish in the top 10 or could, but now if you're drafting him as the wide receiver 8, there's no value anymore. You're already drafting him at his ceiling.
And he has to hit his ceiling.
And he has to hit now. And right now, I kind of look bad, but he hasn't hit based off where he's been drafted. And we can't bump guys up 2 rounds because of some cool routes in training camp.
Yeah, because they're in shorts and they're mossing their second string corners.
Yeah, and it's like the Jaguars have been very underwhelming this shit.
Like they're winning, but their offense hasn't been explosive.
That offense has not been what we thought.
That's what I've been saying. If you're going off of training camp, you have to use it as, okay, this wide receiver is doing great, but who's he going up against? That's why I was so high on Garrett Wilson with Aaron Rodgers, because all of training camp, he was getting locked down by he was going up against a top 3 corner in the league, and he was still doing good.
I mean, that's
why for me, I was like, all right, I'm sold. But if you got a guy like Calvin Ridley, who's their top corner?
It's the same thing with guys like Darren Waller.
Exactly.
All we heard about was how Darren Waller was unguardable and how he was
nobody can guard on the fucking Giants.
Such a freak, and how he was good. And I just think we listen to training camp too much. I'm honestly about to start doing the opposite of what happened. Like, dude, They said all I heard about in Jaguars training camp was how they were going to use like Tank Bigsby a lot and how ETN like wasn't going to be a workhorse, and all he's been is a workhorse back so far this season for them.
He's going to double his touchdowns from last
He
year.
doesn't even come off the field. The ETN,
Seriously.
it's like it's fucking all. I don't know. I think that they start smoke just
100%.
so other teams
Smokes,
don't know
yep.
what they're doing.
I think
Like,
I
they
think
just
there is some stock into that.
and it's like it makes sense, but
Yeah, and we totally just look way too deep into it sometimes.
yeah, and it's like Jerry Jeudy. Like he was a lot of fantasy accounts darlings this year, and we didn't really like him on here. Like I know I personally didn't want him at all. I haven't really seen enough still. Like I'm not going to draft a guy based off 5 good games at the end of the year, because the last time I did that, I picked Devin Singletary in the 5th round, and that was, you know,
He's a jag, dude.
Man, just a guy.
Just a guy.
he's
Just a guy.
just
And
not very good.
That's also the thing when we get so much hype into the preseason. Like, we should not be drafting like T. Higgins and Jalen Waddle, like number 2s on their teams,
in the second.
as number 1s.
Like
in the
look at
second.
yeah, like,
They should not be going in the same range as Cup and Nick Chubb and fucking Tyreek Hill.
you know who should have been
there's
going in
no-
the second? Keenan Allen, who was going in the 4th.
Forgotten.
They should just forgotten, left for dead this season. And
Like the number 1 target for Justin Herbert, and we just completely forget about him because he's old, and it's like,
Well, there's other stuff that goes into it too. Like it's kind of funny how we'll go through and be like, for one team, like with the Bengals and everything, they'll be like, oh, they have 2 wide receivers. Yeah, we're in. The Chargers have 2 wide receivers who are arguably just as good, but we're out for what reason?
yeah, and it's like
We
nobody
can't-
likes Mike Williams like ever. Like literally in free agency, pretty much it was we were having like a battle on who was going to finally draft Mike Williams.
Nick
like,
literally said, so who's going to be the one to do it?
like who's finally
yeah.
gonna, but meanwhile we're taking fucking Chris Olave and in the second, which
And
I did. And
he does
I
have the
loved him.
talent, but you just got to look at the offense and the quarterback and like
Yeah.
their situation. Like, are they really going to be the alpha number 1? Like Stephon Diggs is like no brainer. Cooper Kupp, no brainer. Tyreek Hill, no brainer.
And it sucks because Cooper Kupp hasn't even.
That's also just injury. Like outside
Yeah.
of injury, like I'm
It's
talking about
true,
guys
but-
that are playing and not producing. Like, if
It's-
you're not on the field, I can't blame you for that.
Kupp has actually had 3 straight single-digit weeks now. So I was going to ask, so I wanted to bring up about Jefferson earlier too, but now that we're on Kupp, I'll start with him. What are you doing with these guys? What are you doing with Kupp now? Because if you have Kupp, you're probably struggling a little bit.
I'll say this: I would look to move Kupp because I think you can get a lot for his name. However, Jefferson, I'm going to hold
Do you think you
Yeah.
should hold Jefferson?
because I feel like with Jefferson, I think he's a much bigger name than Cooper Kupp, and you're not going to get the same value like in return in a trade for Jefferson.
Plus, I don't care who the quarterback is. I just think Jefferson is good enough to where
And to me, their moves have shown me that
they're still trying to compete.
like they've won 4 straight. They're 5-4.
They just brought in Josh Dobbs, who they literally traded for on Tuesday, and he won for them this week.
He had
I
a
mean,
game-winning drive, and like he's a baller. He can fucking play.
I did trade Marquise Brown, but Josh Dobbs made Marquise Brown a fantasy relevant receiver all
Exactly.
year. And so
The Cardinals have been trash.
if he's going to do it with Marquise Brown, he could sure as hell do it with Justin Jefferson.
And I think that move and them winning that move for that quarterback tells me that Jefferson will be back sooner than later. And I think his value right now is the lowest it's ever going to be.
So if somebody offers you Jefferson in a trade, and if it's a good deal, you take it. Even if you're a good team.
it depends on whether you believe he'll come back. And for me, I believe he's either coming back, if not week 10 this week, he's definitely coming back in week 11.
So I wanted to bring this up on the show because I want to put out a poll and ask some of the people listening too. I'm not going to, but I was offered a trade in our 14-team league, and I was offered Jefferson, and he offered me Jefferson and Stevenson for St. Brown. Now, St. Brown is my best player. He's my first round pick, and I have 5 wins. I'm a pretty good team in this league. So it's like, do you think it's even smart to take a risk and trade for Jefferson? But that if he comes back, I look brilliant, right?
yeah.
Here's the thing.
And then I'm getting a running back out of it too, which I'm struggling on because we love James Cook, another guy who doesn't get used. No, but it's just
I personally would try to get rid of Jefferson.
You would.
Here's why. I fully believe if the Vikings lose, let's say he doesn't come back this week, coming up, they lose. They're 5-5. Detroit wins. They hold him out another week. They lose that week. They fall to 5-6. I think they shut his ass down.
See, I don't know if they will, though.
He's in a contract year, and you do not want to rush him back because he is your franchise player. And if I'm the Minnesota Vikings and I'm sitting here saying, what do we have? We're not going to win with Josh Dobbs at quarterback. We're not going to win the Super Bowl. So now it's, all right, championship's out the window. What's the point of me even risking my best guy in a contract year? I don't have my franchise quarterback. I'm not going to risk using my franchise player to go up against teams.
But it's like these teams just want to make the playoffs.
See,
though, like
in my opinion, I would be on your side, Tim, if they didn't go out and get a quarterback.
Yeah, like they just traded for
That's
Josh.
true.
Like this shows they clearly do not trust their rookie
Yeah,
that they
like,
had. And
if you were just gonna chalk it up and not bring back Jefferson,
Well, no. I'm saying if they lose. Like, I won't be shocked if, let's say he does come back. They're 5-6. He comes back that week. They fall to 5-7. They fall to 5-8. It wouldn't shock me if it hits me with, oh, Jefferson's still injured. He's shut down the rest of the year.
to be honest, though, he's eligible to come back next week.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is
he's
if
eligible
they
to come back this week.
Yeah, he can come back and play this week.
This week, I meant. I
I
meant.
don't think he will. I think they're going to see what happens. I'm saying if he comes back, and this is why I would not trade for him, I would try to get rid of him. If he comes back, but they continue to lose, I truly do think they're going to shut his ass down, and they're not going to let him play the rest of the year.
And it's like whatever this certain person offers me a trade, I always think they know something I don't.
That's what I'm saying too. Is
So,
it like,
so it's like I'm like, do I just like? Is there something that came out about Jefferson?
can
like
you
I haven't
afford to
seen?
do it?
Well,
Because if you can afford to make that trade, that's the thing, is it's a huge question mark. If you're trading, like you said, if you get Minnesota Vikings first overall pick, Justin Jefferson, you're an absolute genius to get him and Stevenson.
My other two receivers after that would be DJ Moore and Lockett, and you only start three.
see, like I do believe that they'll keep winning because they play New Orleans at home, then they play Denver, and then Chicago.
Those are all very
Those are
winnable.
all- yeah.
And they beat Chicago already. They beat San Fran, Green Bay, and now Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I think even if they lose one of the next three, I think, and then they go into the bye, they're going to want Jefferson back. And
Well-
I that's just my thing. If
No,
they,
that's a
I think Jefferson will want to play himself also because he's in a contract year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the longer he sits out, it's only going to hurt him.
they're going to hold that against him. Like,
They
hey,
will hold
that
that
is
against
true.
him
you
100%.
didn't play. These
Yeah.
are your numbers. You didn't
And
really
Jefferson
produce
has
for us.
already said himself, and he's right, he's doing things that have never been done before, and he wants to be paid like it. And I mean, he could be he'll probably be the highest paid non-quarterback of all time
And
when it
plus,
gets done.
I don't think his injury was severe enough to where, like, I think they put him on IR just so we can, like, he's going to rest up. It is a hamstring injury, so there's always that risk for re-injury, but I think they went about it smartly by just shutting him down for the next month.
But I feel like in fantasy, you have to take some risks. And I feel
It goes down to whether you believe it or not.
and it's like, I feel like if you're going to risk it on anything, I'm going to risk it on the best receiver in the NFL coming back and playing for the biggest payday of any skill position player, maybe
okay.
ever.
I'm going to tell you right now why you don't take the trade. It's Tom.
That's true.
So you know somehow, some way, this is going to fucking work out in his favor.
So that's what I was saying before. So
They've arrived.
They've arrived.
so maybe whenever Tom offers me a trade, it's always like I think he knows something that I don't.
Exactly.
And when
Yeah.
I go home, I'm certainly gonna do some extensive research on Jefferson for about a half hour to see if he's hurt.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
anything.
I wouldn't use what I said because, like, for me, that's if they have a losing record, I think they're going to say, all right, we're just going to shut them down. It's whatever.
Maybe we'll put up a
But-
poll.
For all I know, Josh Dobbs balled out yesterday without even taking reps with the first team. So who knows? Maybe they turn the ship around. Maybe my Super Bowl prediction is still intact. Do I think it is? No shot in hell. But I've seen crazier stuff.
They might
the
just
Eagles
wanna
won
make
a
the
Super Bowl
playoffs.
with
Yeah.
Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Like, anything can happen.
That is true.
And that wasn't the first time a backup quarterback won the Super Bowl. So
Sometimes you just got to get in there.
if Josh Dobbs could win games with the Arizona Cardinals, I think he'll be fine on the fucking Minnesota Vikings. So
I think that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the belief. I think we covered a lot of good ground today, guys.
yeah.
I think that's time to cue the music.
Oh, enjoy that loss, Brandon.
Enjoy
Let's
that
see.
loss, Brian.
Thanks for listening, and fuck you, Mark. We'll be back next week.